Hello everybody. In today's video, I want to talk about why toxic siblings often get worse after the parents die. The first reason is because there is no longer a referee. In many families, when siblings have conflict from childhood into adulthood, the conflict usually gets escalated to the parents. The parent becomes the person everyone looks to for some kind of resolution, even if that resolution is not perfect. In a healthy family, the parent may listen, correct bad behavior, set boundaries, or at least try to prevent the conflict from getting worse. But when both parents are gone, that role disappears. There is no longer a central figure who can step in and say, "This needs to stop." Now, when I talk about toxic siblings, I am not talking about normal sibling disagreements. I am not talking about occasional arguments, misunderstandings, or personality differences. I am talking about a recurring pattern of behavior. A toxic sibling is someone who repeatedly violates boundaries, disrespects you, invalidates you, or takes advantage of you, but never takes real responsibility for it. The issue is not that something happened once. The issue is that the pattern keeps repeating, and every time you try to address it, nothing changes. In toxic families, this gets even more complicated because toxic siblings usually come from a toxic family system. In many cases, there may be a narcissistic parent or a highly controlling parent who created the family structure in the first place. That parent may have favored one child and trained the family to see another child as the problem. So even when conflicts were taken to the parent may not have truly resolved anything. They may have only created the appearance of resolution. This is especially true when you are the black sheep and the toxic sibling is the golden child. The narcissistic parent may pretend to be fair, but behind the scenes, they often protect the golden child. They may give the golden child a slap on the wrist, offer empty words, or pretend to correct the behavior. But there are no real consequences. The golden child learns that they can violate the black sheep and still be protected. They may even be reassured privately that they did nothing wrong and that the black sheep is simply too sensitive, too difficult, or too dramatic. That is why the behavior keeps repeating. The toxic sibling knows that the family system is not really designed to hold them accountable. It is designed to protect their position. So when the parents are alive, there may still be some lip service. There may still be some illusion that the parent is managing the situation. But when the parents die, even that illusion disappears. Now there is no mediator. There is no referee. There is no one pretending to resolve the conflict. The toxic sibling is free to continue the same behavior without even the appearance of correction. This is one reason toxic siblings can become worse after the parents die. The small amount of restraint that existed before may disappear. Even if the parent was unhealthy, irresponsible, or narcissistic, they may have still maintained a certain image of parental authority. Once they are gone, the toxic sibling no longer has to act as though there is a higher authority in the family. The conflict becomes more direct, more open, and more intense. The second reason toxic siblings get worse after the parents die is because they try to reinforce the family hierarchy. In many toxic families, the narcissistic parent creates a structure where one person is at the top and another person is at the bottom. The golden child is often placed near the top, while the black sheep is placed at the bottom. The black sheep becomes the one who is blamed, dismissed, mocked, excluded, or treated as inferior. When the narcissistic parent dies, the family structure can feel unstable. The person who originally created and maintained the hierarchy is no longer there. So the golden child or toxic sibling may try to step into that role. They may try to become the new dominant figure in the family. Instead of allowing the family system to become healthier, They often double down on the old structure. They continue the same patterns the narcissistic parent used because that structure benefits them. This is where the treatment can become even harsher. A parent, even a toxic parent, usually has some pressure to maintain the image of being a parent. They may still want outsiders to believe they are caring, responsible, and respectable. So their mistreatment may be hidden, subtle, or disguised as concern. But a sibling does not have the same duty of care as a parent. A sibling can mistreat you more openly because society does not hold siblings to the same standard that it holds parents. That difference matters. A parent going on a smear campaign against their own child can look strange to outsiders, so the parent may have to be more careful. They may invalidate the child indirectly or present their mistreatment as concern, but a sibling can frame their attacks as a peer judgment. They can say, "I know my brother," or "I know my sister," and outsiders may take it as a normal sibling opinion. Because of that, the toxic sibling may feel more comfortable damaging your reputation, dismissing your character, or justifying their mistreatment of you. The golden child may also feel responsible for protecting the family image after the parents are gone. They may continue invalidating the black sheep because the black sheep represents the truth about the family system. If the black sheep is believed, then the false image of the family begins to collapse. So the toxic sibling may work harder to keep the black sheep in the same old role. They may continue the narrative that the black sheep is difficult, unstable, jealous, ungrateful, or the problem in the family. This is why the family hierarchy can become even more rigid after the parents die. The toxic sibling is not just acting out of personal dislike. In many cases, they are protecting a role, a status, and an identity that was given to them by the toxic parent. They do not want to lose their special position. They do not want to admit that the family system was unfair, and they do not want the black sheep to rise out of the role that the family assigned to them. So instead of the parent being the dominant figure, the toxic sibling tries to become the new authority. They inherit the mindset of the narcissistic parent. They continue the favoritism, the invalidation, the double standards, and the control. But because this is now a sibling relationship, not a parent-child relationship, the treatment can feel even colder. There is less responsibility, less protection, and less concern for how much damage is being done. The third reason toxic siblings get worse after the parents die is because they may weaponize inheritance. In toxic families, inheritance is not always treated as a fair transfer of what the parents left behind. Sometimes it becomes another tool of control. It becomes another way to punish, reward, exclude, or reinforce the family hierarchy. This is especially dangerous when the toxic sibling has been given power over the estate, money, property, documents, or family decisions. If the golden child has been groomed to believe they are more deserving, more responsible, or more important than the black sheep, they may use inheritance as a way to settle old scores. They may feel entitled to control what happens. They may feel justified in giving the black sheep less, delaying information, hiding details, or creating confusion around what the black sheep is supposed to receive. This does not come out of nowhere. In many toxic families, the double standards existed long before the parents died. The golden child may have been protected from consequences for years. Their bad behavior may have been minimized, excused, or ignored. Meanwhile, the black sheep may have been punished harshly for reacting, speaking up, or telling the truth. Over time, the golden child learns that they can do harm and still be defended. The black sheep learns that even when they are wronged, they may still be blamed for complaining. Because of that, inheritance can become a final battlefield. If the black sheep challenged the golden child, exposed their behavior, or told uncomfortable truths, the golden child may carry resentment. Golden children are often raised with an inflated image of themselves. They may be treated as special, superior, or untouchable. So when the black sheep speaks honestly about their behavior, it can feel like a deep injury to their ego. The black sheep may not be trying to destroy them. The black sheep may simply be trying to defend themselves and name the truth. But to the golden child, that truth can feel like an attack. So when the parents die and inheritance becomes an issue, the toxic sibling may see an opportunity to retaliate. They may use money, property, or family assets to punish the black sheep for speaking up. They may give the black sheep crumbs, delay the process, withhold information, manipulate the paperwork, or act as though the black sheep deserves less. In extreme cases, they may try to cut the black sheep out completely. This is why inheritance is such a sensitive issue in toxic families. Inheritance can affect someone's future. It can affect housing, stability, financial security, and opportunities. Families often build wealth across generations through inheritance. So when that inheritance is weaponized, it is not just about money. It can become another way to keep the black sheep behind, disadvantaged, or dependent. This is also why I believe black sheep need to be very careful about sacrificing their lives for toxic families. Do not put your life on hold because you are hoping they will finally be fair to you in the end. Do not assume that years of loyalty, patience, or silence will automatically be rewarded. If a narcissistic parent is mistreating you while they are alive, you have to seriously ask yourself, what may happen when they are gone? If there is little accountability while they are alive, there may be even less accountability after they die. Now, I also want to be clear that toxic families exist on a spectrum. Not every toxic family will handle inheritance the same way. It depends on the level of toxicity, the family structure, the legal arrangements, and the people involved. So I am not saying that every black sheep will be cut out of inheritance. What I am saying is that in a toxic family, there is a risk that inheritance can become another tool of control. The same applies to toxicity itself. In some families, the mistreatment is mostly emotional. It may involve insults, criticism, favoritism, exclusion, or invalidation. In other families, it may affect basic needs, finances, education, shelter, food, or safety. In my own experience, the dysfunction reached the level where basic needs were affected. There were situations where support that should have gone toward necessities was controlled by someone who did not use it responsibly, and I was left without what I needed. When I raised concerns, I was made to feel like I was the problem for speaking up. I mention this carefully because it shows that toxic family dynamics are not always just about words or attitudes. Sometimes they affect survival, stability, and daily life. But even when the abuse is emotional rather than physical or financial, it can still be deeply damaging. Some people grow up hearing cruel statements from parents or siblings. They may be told they are ugly, worthless, incapable, unlovable, or destined to fail. Those words can shape a child's self-image for years. Emotional abuse may not always be visible from the outside, but it can still leave serious wounds. That is why each person has to evaluate their own family honestly. You are the one who knows what you experienced. You are the one who knows the pattern, the severity, and the impact. Some families are mildly toxic. Some are deeply destructive. Some use words. Some use basic needs. The form may be different, but the pattern is what matters. My perspective is based on personal experience, observation, and learning from other survivors who have shared their stories. This is not legal advice, financial advice, or professional therapy. But from what I have seen, black sheep need to be careful. If a toxic family has already shown you that they are willing to mistreat you, exclude you, or deny your reality, do not assume that they will suddenly become fair when something valuable is involved. The painful truth is that toxic siblings often choose loyalty to the family system over loyalty to the truth. They may know that the black sheep was treated unfairly. They may know that the narcissistic parent created division. They may know that the golden child was protected while the black sheep was blamed. But when they are forced to choose between admitting the truth and preserving their own position, many of them choose the false reality that benefits them. That is why the death of the parents does not always bring freedom, fairness, or reconciliation. Sometimes people assume that once the toxic parent is gone, the siblings will finally see clearly. They imagine that the family will become more honest, more balanced, or more compassionate. But many times, the opposite happens. The toxic sibling doubles down. They continue the same system because they benefited from it. They do not want to lose the position they had. This is why it is so important to live your own life. Do not sacrifice your future trying to earn fairness from people who have repeatedly shown you that they do not value fairness. Do not abandon your goals, your peace, your health, or your purpose because you are hoping that one day the family will reward your suffering. Many black sheep spend years trying to prove that they are worthy of love, respect, or basic consideration. But in a toxic family system, the problem was never that the black sheep failed to prove themselves. The problem was that the system needed someone to carry the blame. So if you are the black sheep, protect your life. Build your own stability. Make decisions based on reality, not fantasy. If there are legal or inheritance issues, get proper professional advice. Do not rely on verbal promises from people who have already shown you a pattern of dishonesty, favoritism, or manipulation. And emotionally, do not wait for toxic siblings to suddenly become fair just because the parents are gone. When the parents die, the family structure changes. But if the toxic mindset remains, the abuse can intensify. There is no referee. The golden child may try to take the parent's place in the hierarchy, and inheritance may become another weapon. That is why toxic siblings often get worse after the parents die. So take care of yourself. Stay grounded in the truth. Live your authentic life. And do not sacrifice your future for people who may still treat you like the problem even after everything you endured. Let me know if any of this relates to your experience or if this information was helpful to you. Take care of yourself and stay authentic.